All right, we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to join us for this eye-opening conversation about women in Israel's high-tech sector. We had originally scheduled this as an in-person program, but obviously that did not happen as a result of COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. We are still thrilled to be hosting this program online today. My name is Jason Holtzman, and I'm the program officer for the Jewish Community Relations Council of the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. The JCRC conducts work in community relations, government affairs, social action, and advocacy. We are dedicated to improving intergroup understanding and advancing a just and pluralistic society. Our programs are designed for diverse groups both inside and outside of the Jewish community. Before we dive deeper into the content of this webinar, I would like to first thank our speakers, Ifat Baron for speaking with us live from Israel. And I'd also like to thank our co-sponsors of this program, including the Jewish Federation's NextGen Department, the Philadelphia Israel Chamber of Commerce, the Philadelphia chapter of the Israeli American Council, and the Interagency Task Force on Israeli Arab Issues. If you have any questions for our speakers, you can put them here in the chat box or email them directly to jcrc@jewishphilly.org. I'm now going to turn it over to Liron Shoham from the Interagency Task Force on Israeli Arab Issues, who will frame today's conversation and introduce our speakers from Israel. Thank you, Liron.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you everyone for joining. I'll just take a moment to say the music that we all heard before it was muted was the call to prayer. Sireen, one of our speakers, is in the center of Israel in an Arab village, and now there are prayers being issued regularly for the health and safety of everyone. She told us about it in the prep that this might happen during the call. We'll try to keep it muted, but a little bit of cultural context for that. Thank you, Jason. Thank you to the JCRC for taking this event, which was supposed to be, we had significant debate ahead of time whether or not we were going to cancel this tour that it was coming together right as Corona was beginning to be an issue. And I'm glad to say we made the right choice and everyone stayed home and safe, and that we were able to turn it into a remote event. So thank you to the JCRC. Thank you to Ifat and Sireen for joining us evening their time. My name is Liron Shoham. I'm with the Interagency Task Force on Israeli Arab Issues. We are an educational organization serving the North American Jewish community with educational opportunities to learn about Israel's Arab citizens, 20% of the population. There are numerous ways in which the Arab population is significant for Israel's social and economic well-being. And when we were created 13 years ago already, it was recognized then that the Jewish community needs opportunities to learn about this in a non-political manner, and we were created to provide these resources. The current situation we're in is only more of an emphasis on how important it is to be able to learn about Israel as a whole. As we've heard in many contexts, the viruses do not see the difference between people's names or backgrounds. 1 month ago, this event was going to shed light into the leading edge of Israel's employment integration front, the efforts to bring Arab citizens into high tech to strengthen the country's economy as a whole. Over the last decade, closing economic gaps between Arab and Jewish citizens has increasingly become a domestic priority, since Arab citizens make up a disproportionate part of Israel's disadvantaged communities with poverty rates of 50% as a whole. There's been tremendous success. It's slow, but success in beginning to narrow these gaps. But today, with the coronavirus being public health as well as an economic crisis, the conversation we will be seeing is an entry point into the economic impact of the current situation, and how the economic gaps that have been painstakingly narrowed over the last decade may grow again as a result. Ifat Baron is the founder and director of Itworks, an economic development organization dealing with marginalized communities in the high-tech sector. Sireen Nijeem, graduate of the Technion in Industrial and Management Engineering, has been in the high-tech sector for the last 3 years and is one of the less than 1% of Arab women that was able to break into high-tech. She's currently working in Solar Edge, one of Israel's biggest high-tech companies. Together, they're going to share with us what this new reality of working remotely in the current crisis, the new reality that their work looks like, and what the current situation reflects on the before and after picture of Arab economic integration into Israel. So with no further ado, please, Ifat Baron.
Thank you. I'm sharing my presentation. Okay, so thank you, Liron, and thank you for everybody for the opportunity. Maybe I will start with a bit of background. A problem with the presentation, sorry. So regarding the Arab citizens of Israel, I guess that everybody knows that there are 20% of the population most live in Arab towns in the north and southern Israel, and 50% in mixed cities, and they are nearly 3 times in the poverty rate than the Jewish population, have low rates of quality of employment, especially women, and lived in the weakest and most underdeveloped towns in Israel. And if you can see in the presentation in the slide, today 50% of the kids in grade A, Kita Aleph, are ultra-Orthodox and Arabs. That means that 20% from today, 20 years from today, we will see that the workforce will be very different than the workforce today, with many ultra-Orthodox and Arabs that will be the main workforce. And what we are doing in Itworks, we are assisting marginalized communities to enter into the high-tech sector. So before the corona, we had in the high-tech sector nearly 19,000 open positions in the high-tech sector. The shortage is huge. Everybody say that the high-tech sector is bleeding and there is not enough manpower. Not only that the numbers, the 19,000, but it's an enormous number, but also every year 20,000 positions outsourced from Israel, mainly to Ukraine and India, and $1 billion, it's a loss of $1 billion to the economy. You can see in the graph that the Arab males are around 2% of the high-tech sector, the women, you can see also the ultra-Orthodox. We see very small percentage of employees from marginalized communities in the high-tech sector. So I guess that you say that the shortage is huge and there are not enough, maybe there are not enough candidates that learn STEM in order to integrate it into the high-tech sector. So in 2012, there were almost 2,000 students graduated that finished universities and college in Israel. They are speaking Hebrew, learning in Israeli universities and organizations, learn STEM studies. 2018, 2 years ago, almost 4,000 students finished universities. Today, Arabs, engineers, today 50% of the students in the Technion that learning mathematics, physics, computer science, engineering are Arabs. So the potential is huge. So we see that there are thousands of students, Arab engineers that learning STEM studies, and the shortage is enormous, but they are not, we see that they are not integrated. So why they are not integrated? The first one is networking or lack of networking. 60% of the jobs offered in the high-tech sector is friends referral. It's the same all over the world. We see it if you have the right friends, if you went to the army and know engineers there, it will be much easier for you to find a job. Geographical location, they are living mostly in the south and the north of Israel. The transportation is weak, and the high-tech sector is in the center of Israel. Language, English or Hebrew will be the third or fourth language, so it's a barrier. Experience. Most of the Jewish engineers going out of the army with 2 or 3 years of experience in coding. The Arab engineers is going out of university very, very young because they are not going to the army, and without any experience, coding experience. So going to interviewing and having the Jewish engineer and the Arab engineer, same graduate in the same year, same grades from the same university, the Jewish engineer will have much more experience. And of course, we see also discrimination. So today, we are in the middle of the Corona crisis. We see that the weak population will be the first one to be affected. The single mothers, the Arab engineers, the first one that going out from the organization will be the weak population. This is Dr. Gal Zohar from the National Insurance Institute just said yesterday in one of the Economist newspapers. We have now 1 million unemployed, and the unemployment rate is 24%. 1 month ago, the unemployment rate, somebody knows? Sireen, you know what was the unemployment rate 1 month ago? 3.4. So from 3.4%, we are today in 24% unemployment rate. In the organization, in Itworks, we have a hotline, and we have 30 or 40 phone calls every day from Arab engineers that lost their jobs. What we are doing those days in order to assist our community, our target population. So with employers, we are promoting interview through Zoom. Today, we had 17 engineers in a very big high-tech company named Cybereason in Zoom interviews. It's very new in Israel. I know it's not new in the States, but here interviews are mostly face-to-face. We are doing a seminar, how to recruit through Zoom seminars. This is for the employers. For the job seekers, we have outline that operate from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. Vocational training through Zoom. We are offering different vocational training for the candidates, and personal employment coaching. We are trying to assist our candidates making the lemon to lemonade and trying to see that this period of time, it will end and they need to have as much advantage as they can. With our partners, we are working with the Ministry of Welfare, Economy and Social Affairs in order to give tools to our candidates, and also working with colleges and universities to offer online vocational training. Our team working very intensively in order to map the needs and also mapping the companies that's still recruiting. So for example, who is recruiting those time? Monday.com, it's like, I guess, you know, it's like Zoom, Forrester, eBay in Israel have hundreds of open positions. MyHeritage is going to open a Corona lab in Israel and looking for 100 engineers. So we are working very hard in order to map the opportunities that we have those days. As what I see, and I'm working in this field for the last 15 years, that the day after we will see hundreds of engineers coming and need our help and assistance at the same time. So we are building now a very strong tools for the employers and for the candidates in order that we can give all the support later on. I did not say something about myself, but I'm the director and the founder for the last 14 years. I established the organization. I have been also in the last crisis, economically crisis, a few years ago, and I think this one is the most really hard for the economy. People are not working, and I'm very afraid to see what will what will happen the day after. So I'm working with Sireen for the last 3 years. Sireen was in our XLHT course, which is a course that we offer to the excellent students that learning in the high-tech sector. And I'm very proud to say that I'm working with you for the last 3 years. It's the third job that we help you find, right, Sireen? She started in NES, moved to Procter & Gamble, and today she is working in SolarEdge. And Sireen, we cannot hear you. You are on mute. You are muted.
Now,
Perfect.
do you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Basically, you know me before 2 years, Ifat. I guess that you count oppositely.
14 years?
No, more than 3 years. More than 3 years. Do you see me too? You can see me and hear me? Sorry?
We hear you and see you.
Okay, great. Well, to start presenting myself, can I?
Please do, Sireen.
Okay.
Tell us your current reality and your story and how you relate to the situation. Thank you.
Okay, first, my name is Sireen. I'm from the north of the country, from Jdaidi village. I'm industrial and management engineer, as Liron and Yifat presented me. I become the first Arab engineer in my village and the villages around. Let's say I'm the first one who dared to get out of the books and can't see Sireen. I would try again.
Ifat, do you still need to share your screen? Because that might be why.
Okay. It's okay now, Sireen?
Yeah, yes. Okay. As I said, that I dare to get out of the books and go to study unfamiliar subject as industrial engineer and familiar to my community, not for all the Israeli community. Let's say I'm one of the people who disencouraged to go to study engineer because I'm a woman, I'm an Arab, and all my family, especially my parents, claim all the time that I'm not gonna finding a job. I just gonna waste my time by studying such a subject, and after 4 or 5 years, I'm gonna stay at home or teaching math. So it was a responsibility from my side to present another perspective of each difficulty in the world, or in my, let's say, in my world, which is my community. In my second year, I was an excellent student as all my whole life. By the way, I was the first, let's say, #1 in the country. I win lots of math competitions and joined lots of excellence programs. So for my family, let's say, it's a typical way to become a doctor, not an engineer. So this is why too, they just encourage me to study engineering. So I faced lots of difficulties. Let's say one of them is language difficulty. And because I speak Hebrew as my second one and English as my third one. And I faced lots of difficulties by finding a job or getting in the mixture community, being as an engineer or as an engineering student and finding a job. And the third, let's say, difficulty is to get out of the books and choosing something that my family and my community is unfamiliar with. So as Yifat said, I joined the XLHT program, and Itworks helped me a lot to prepare myself to interviews and to find a place who can really take me as a young engineer and as a young student, and give me the chance to be a part of it, as lots of organizations in Israel didn't get this opportunity to Arabs, unfortunately. So as Ifat say too, I'm working in SolarEdge as today as a manager of the fulfillment and demand specialists, and I manage all the production in this very huge company. It's as a result of lots of things. For myself, the first, let's say the first thing that really affect my story is let's say the courage to be a little bit changed from other people. I really wanted this change to become as a part of my life, and and the second one is the help that I got from Yifat's team, and especially Yifat, because Yifat followed me and encouraged me all the time to keep going, to keep trying, and to attend lots of courses to enrich my CV, to present myself and to market myself. And I really did it. I tried very hard, and I succeed to get lots of positions and getting the salary, let's say not exactly compared to another Jewish engineer, but let's say that I'm okay with it because it's one of the highest to my subject. In my days, it's very difficult. Let's say in this crisis, we still face lots of problems, as Ifat say too, that lots of people lose their jobs. So in this opportunity, I succeeded to say to my parents, especially because they really encouraged me, and lots of people around me, that for my fortune, I didn't lose my job. I still working from home, and I still do that because I go through my passion and go through my goals. On one hand, on the other hand, I worked very hard to keep my work on and to save it. The last thing that I would like to say and to present, that giving Arabs an opportunity, it's gonna be very good, not only for the Arab sector, but also for all the country, because the economic crisis not only affect Arab sector, it affects all the country and all the citizens around. And in our daily days, we can see how Arabs really affect on one hand the economy, and on the other hand the medicine, which we are familiar in Israel. I work as an engineer to save the economy of myself, of my family, and of the country too, and I will explain how. And my sisters, they are all of them doctors, and they just save lives and help really people to get out of coronavirus affection. By the way, as the end of my speech, I would like to say that today, because I really go through a very difficult way, I am a mentor by Itworks organization. I help Arab women to get out of the books, to dare to go studying engineering, especially industrial engineering. And me, I just ask Ifat all the time for help, to help lots of industrial engineers to get a job, and lots of engineers from around the country, not only from Technion and from the north. On the others, and in addition, I do lots of seminars in my village and the villages around, to explain about the engineering, to explain about the jobs, how we can offer a job, for which organizations we can, let's say, ask a help and really getting a job. By the way, three of my friends on the last month, they got a new job because Itworks helped them, not only me. And today I'm a business consultant, not only an industrial engineer. So I work very hard to save lots of Arab businesses and local business, let's say in generally, in order to save their own income and to improve let's say, to go through this crisis. So I hope for all of us to keep being healthy and to, let's say, share the opportunity to go through this crisis and to keep holding and helping Arab community to get out of the books and to get its own opportunity. Thank you.
תודה, סירין.
תודה.
Can I take the first question and then we'll open it up? I'm wondering, Ifat, you spoke about the weaker populations losing their jobs first and how we see economic gaps growing. Do you already have, or can you elaborate a little bit about the picture you're seeing on the day after? What kind of additional barriers you see in continuing to work for diversity, inclusion, and high tech, given the crisis? And maybe the flip side of that, why you see this still as an economic priority with all the other economic challenges the country is facing?
Okay, I will start with the economic priority because yesterday, the head of the National Insurance Institute just said that for the first time in many, many years that helping people find a job in the day after will be a national goal. What I see as the effect of the coronavirus is first of all, that the junior positions will not longer be. Today, we see that most of the 57% of the junior positions are outsourced overseas. So for the Arab candidate that graduate university, that do not speak Hebrew or English fluently, that do not have the experience from the army and did not serve in the army, they now have challenge, the regular challenge. In the day after, we will see that we will not have a junior position to offer to those juniors, to those engineers. So it's like a circle. They will go to learn, they will not find a job, they will continue working as teachers in their village, earning minimum wages, and they will not go, and their kids will not go to learn in the STEM studies in universities. So the first effect will be the junior position that will not longer be available. The second one, because there are so many unemployed, 1 million unemployed, if many people are outreach to a job and seeking for a job, mostly they will choose the Jewish candidate that have his friend and networking from the company. We see now, before the crisis, that only 2% of the engineers in the high-tech sector are Arab. So what will happen after? We will see a huge demand from the Arab engineers. And unfortunately, today I cannot see how we can fulfill the huge demand.
Thank you so much. It's really fascinating. Thank you both for being here. My name is Max Moley, and I'm the NextGen Director at the Jewish Federation. And our next question today is, can you both talk about some of the opportunities in life sciences and medical devices?
There are many opportunities in those areas now. We see MyHeritage, MyHeritage, that opening a huge lab in Israel to do private corona tests and looking for more than 100 employees those days. Most of the positions are in the biotech area, but it's not hundreds of open positions. We can see here and there also companies that use the internet, like Monday.com, like Zoom, like other companies, but if before the crisis, we had more in the organization, we had around average of 45 open positions, junior positions every day. Today, if we have 10, I'm say thank you. Today we have 8 to 10 positions every day.
Wow. That's
It's sad.
Yes, very sad. Our next question is, what advice would each of you give to women looking to break into this field and looking to succeed in this field?
Sireen, you want to start? You are muted.
Okay. Yeah, again, I didn't get the question. Please, again.
Sure. What advice would you give to women looking to break into this field and looking to succeed in the field?
The most important thing is to believe in herself and to believe in her, let's say, to believe in herself and to believe in her way to get to really reach the goals, because each one, not only for Arab women, everyone who believe really in himself and work very hard to get the goals and to get all of his aims, by working hard and by believing, he can reach everything. All the time I used to present lots of to present these issues and how can really we go through our goals. And as all the time I explain, Arab women can do lots of things, not only it's not a regular women. Arab women can do many things because we all the time used to get to have the responsibility for many things, for our families, for our husbands, for our whole families, because Arabs working living not only with our children and our husbands, we live of our very big families, and we can study, we can take care of lots of things. So one of our things that we're supposed to take care is education, working hard, and achieving goals.
I would have said also going after the dreams. I have a young daughter, age 6, and she can do everything. And from the day she's very, very young, I'm always, you can do everything, like her big brothers. So this is, I think, what she should believe, and it's coming from the mothers and fathers and community.
To dream big, to be patient, and to do everything with patience, because patience is the life, and let's say the life achievements. I worked very hard, by the way. I didn't rest. I worked I worked very hard. I improved my language. So this is the opportunity to say sorry for my English, for my broken English. In this Corona, I used to speak only Arabic or a little bit of Hebrew. I work all the time with Excel, so I'm sorry.
It's not easy for the Arab female to achieve her dream in the high-tech sector, because as Sireen said, the most excellent students are going through to be doctors. And if you will go into the hospital, you will see Arab doctors. So they can treat us and do everything, but they cannot write the code in the high-tech companies. And so if I can tell Sireen's story, when her parents wanted her to be a doctor, and she said, no, I want to be engineer. When she graduated the Technion, after they didn't support her because they wanted her to be a doctor, no, they didn't came to her ceremony, the graduation ceremony, while for her brothers and sisters, everybody came, all the family came. And today, Sireen is a role model in her community, the first female engineers, the first engineer, I think, in her village. And those days, Sireen is working in her village with her community, and this is what the high-tech sector brings. There is a huge demand, but also the computer is the office, is our office, and we can connect everywhere. And I think Sireen is a great role model for change, and she's an ambassador of change.
Wow, תודה. יפעת, תודה.
תודה לך.
תודה.
And that's a great transition to our next question for Sireen. What is the impact of being the first Arab woman engineer on the companies where you work and on your community?
Let's say I'm the only Arab in SolarEdge, and I was the only Arab in L'Oreal, and I was the first Arab in Procter & Gamble. So firstly, it wasn't easy to me. Let's say that I faced lots of difficulties because I come from another tradition, another language, I speak another language. People didn't know how to treat with me. What's okay to say and what's not okay, let's say, to. It wasn't easy, but this is on one hand. On the other hand, it was a very great experience for people to know what is Arab and what is Arab women, how we really can fulfill our dreams and how we really can work hard and being not even compared to another engineers, but we can be even a little bit, let's say, better than other people because we didn't get the opportunities as lots of people. It's very rarely to get a real opportunity and a right opportunity that suit our let's say that really suit our availability and our skills. So I can tell you from my experience in my job that people starting to look differently about Arabs, and especially Northern Arab, because I presented them. I'm from the North, so, and they start to be more interested in how we live, how we really speak another language, how can we coexist, living together with existence and with the, let's say, how we can deal really with each other. It was one of the things that I really bring with me to other companies, and they start to ask me lots of questions that they didn't get the answer, and they can't get the answers from news or from newsletters. They can get lots of answers from Arabs who really interested in politics and who can really present a real Arabs, because let's say I have my own politicians' ideas. I came from a village, I speak Arabic, I respect my community, I respect where I came from, and this is what I present. And in addition, I can coexist with all of people, I can respect all of people, and we can live in a mutual respect, mutual life without, let's say, violence, without crisis, without conflicts, as normal life. So it just can be happen only when we start to live together, not separated villages. My village, and what surround my village is only Arab villages. So when I go out of Jdaide, which is my village, I go to another Arab one. I didn't go to Tel Aviv to have shopping or to do something. So when we didn't live together, when we didn't get the opportunity to start speaking, let's say, honestly, to speak honest, to accept each other, we can't even improve anything, I think. And we didn't get the right opportunity to meet each other and to meet our let's say needs from each other.
And if I can add something, this is economically peace. We are not talking in the organization about peace or peace building activities or getting to know the other. We are doing it. And having Arab engineers working with Jewish engineers, this is a real economically peace, because they both have the same idea or the same needs. We want to work and we want to earn enough money in order to support our families. So this is peace building activities, but the right one, I guess.
Sure, it's not only peace, it's not only economic peace, it's a better, let's say, economic social life, which can bring lots of things to the country, more, let's say, more incomes and more social economic lifestyle, and better, let's say, better economy for all of us, especially for Arab sector, because our percentages of the poverty line is higher than another sector in the country.
That's fascinating. Thank you. Just a reminder to everyone, please pose your questions in the chat. Our next question is, we are seeing a number of companies that are having a hard time finding engineers with creativity and an entrepreneurial spirit, and are excited about engineers with your courage and your motivation to get ahead. How do both of you put that forward so employers understand that and see that?
The most important lesson I had during my last decades of working in this field is they need to see it. They need to understand that it's valuable for them. When they have, we are not going to an employer and say, listen, you need to hire Sireen, for example, or other Arab engineers because of corporate social responsibilities. We are going and saying, we have not talent, but super talent engineers, graduated the Technion without grades, motivation in the sky. And we have those super talents, and it's for the business. Because if you have positions open for a year, and I'm working for dozens of companies, and I see that they try to hire engineers for months. So you have these positions open for months, you are losing money. So it's all business-wise. And we have those super talents. So let's see how we can conduct an intercultural interview, or give you all the tools you need in order to hire them, because there are thousands of Arab engineers, talents engineers that cannot find a job, and there are 20,000 open positions in the high-tech sector. It's a market failure, and we are coming and saying to those employers, this is a market failure. Let's see how we can help you. And we have so many. It's easier with international companies. We are working with Microsoft, we are working with Intel, we are working with all the international companies you can imagine. So if Apple can hire Arab engineers, Checkpoint cannot hire. If the big one doing it, so the medium and small one cannot do it. So we are building a success studies and bridging or connecting between the companies in order to see how to make it happen.
I would add something. Because I know how difficult for other, let's say, other engineers or other Arab engineers to be hired. So I all the time explain the same thing to my colleagues, to my Arab colleagues in lots of companies, that it's one of our responsibilities is to present the Arab engineer as supposed to be presented, because we pay same exams. We can really do a very great job, and we are motivated and we are talented too. So it's our responsibility to present this thing all the time, and not only to save our position and to become another leaders, but also to really help the HR in our companies to hire more and more Arabs.
That's fantastic. That's really great to hear. Changing gears a little bit, can you talk a little bit about the situation in the Ethiopian community as it relates to women in high tech, employment, and even now in the coronavirus crisis?
So with the coronavirus crisis that we are not seeing the end yet, we see that there are 1 million unemployed. 60% of them, by the way, are women. So the women were the first one to be affected, as always, from those crises. We see a huge problem with single mothers that do not have a supportive network and they must quit from their job. For the high-tech sector, I do not see a difference between the male and the female engineers. And I guess we will see the effect in the high-tech sector after the crisis will be end. Now, most of the people are unemployed. One out of every five are unemployed. Sireen, you want to add something?
No.
Thank you. This is something that you touched on a little bit before. Are you seeing a difference as a result of the crisis in the relations between the Jewish and Arab communities, given the role of Arab doctors these days?
I have a great example. My mother-in-law, for the last 12 years, every time that she sees me, she's telling me every time, she's telling me, you are still working with the Arabs? So for the last 12 years, I'm seeing her once a month. I'm telling her, yes, I'm still. So yesterday she called me and said, you saw how many Arabs doctors there are, and Toda La'el that we have the Arabs doctor, because without them, I think we would have a really catastrophe in the health economy. So I see, and my mother-in-law is the last one to say that there is hope, and always in crisis, people used to see the good in others, and I hope it will continue after the crisis.
I want to jump in and just say, can I jump in for a second and say there's 47% of Israel's doctors are Arab and about a quarter of the nurses. So this has been unprecedented in having really Jews and Arabs side by side on the front line of a public health crisis.
And for the pharmacists, please don't.
Yes,
don't forget them.
I don't
still
remember the
face this issue with
percentage.
my husband. So my husband's a pharmacist, and my sisters are doctors, and my brother too. By the way, my sister, she didn't graduated yet. She's in her 5th year, and she's volunteering in Nahariya Hospital in order to help other doctors to really work better because of this crisis. And all of my family working in hospital to help people to get out of this crisis, and my friends too. I'm the only one, as I told you, who go to engineering, but I can, let's say, help from my side in a medicine, but in economy.
And let's hope that this hope will get to other sectors, like the medicine sector, because I'm still getting into companies, and it's not 5 people in the garage companies, it's huge companies that you will not find Arab engineers, not talking about female engineers, and I'm talking about very big companies. And it's a problem. It's a huge problem to Israel. It's a national problem.
Absolutely. So we're just going to do one more question and then we'll wrap up here. Looking towards the future, as we hopefully start to move forward past this crisis, can you talk about how we're going to start early with young women in elementary school and even earlier to educate girls in Palestinian and Israeli communities to potential STEM careers?
So we've seen research from the Ministry of Education that Arab girls do go to learn STEM studies in high schools. They're going and learning physics and computer science and doing the Bagrut, the exam in mathematics. But after the high school, they are going to be in the medicines area or as teachers. So I believe that we need to be in this point where she graduated, she finished, and she doesn't know what to choose. And we need to be in this particular point with people like Sireen, which is you will go to a community, to a village in the north or south, and they do not know what is high-tech and why it's good to work in the high-tech sector and what are the salaries in the high-tech sector. So we must educate them in order to see people like Sireen, success studies that did it. And I believe that as we will serve more and more people, we will have people like Sireen in every community and hopefully in every family.
I would add that the numbers of women and Arabs who attend, let's say, engineering studies are become higher from the past few years, and the awareness improved. From my side, I can say that I created lots of workshops, and I all the time join workshops in high schools and even in primaries and middle schools in order to present what is engineers and how we can join and working in high tech, and what is the high tech, how can I earn money not only from being a medical doctor, or a lawyer or accountant, or let's say education as a teacher. We can earn very good money from high tech, and not only as an engineer in a company, but also as an entrepreneur, and starting to create our own startups. Not only go and join another company, but also to start our opportunity from ourselves and start creating the opportunity for another Arabs and another, let's say, engineers from both sectors, from Arab sector and from another sector that under one definition. So to start creating our own opportunity, this is the main, let's say, this is the main phrase, and this is the main thing that we're supposed to hold and supposed to implement in Arab sector. So this is what I did in the north, and especially in my region. And I hope to start creating with Ifat, as we talked before the corona, to start doing something special to help another people to being aware of new, let's say, new challenges and new opportunities in high-tech sector positions that all the time we're supposed to know about the new things that happen in the high-tech sector, because lots of new open positions all the time are opening, and as Arab sector we didn't know about everything. So we need to start creating lots of projects to help the Arab sector to dare and to go, and as I said, to go to another subjects and to dare to go to the high tech.
Thank you so much to both of you for sharing your insights with us. It was really fascinating and really an honor to be able to hear from both of you. And we're really excited to hopefully bring you back when all of this ends and to hopefully see you in person. So thank you. And just to everyone who is on the call, thank you for joining. We hope to see you at tomorrow evening's Shabbat Throughout the City, which is a virtual Shabbat dinner. And on April 13th, we are having a webinar with IsraAid where we'll hear about the work that they're doing during the coronavirus crisis. So thank you again, everyone. And
thank you.
We look forward to seeing you soon.
Inshallah.
Amen. Bye-bye.
Bye.